Hey guys, Steven here with STS Pickleball, and welcome to 2025 and Paddle Meta-Analysis episode number 3. So without further ado, let's dig straight into it. First thing we'll talk about, something that's obviously become very rampant in the space right now, is Yola and their Mod TA15s being sunset on July 1st, as well as the Gearbox Pro Power Elongated being sunset as well. Sunset being a nice way of saying that they're giving them a grace period and then they will be banned July 1st, 2025, which for me is a beautiful thing. I think that the Yola Mod TA15, the Gearbox I don't see as much, so it's not as big of a deal, but the Mod TA15 I see everywhere, and when I do see it in the right hands, it is, it's rough to play against, and I don't think that it's not like an ego thing either. I think that ultimately the pace of play was changed dramatically by the Mod TA15. The way that pickleball is played has changed dramatically over the last year with all these power paddles and the Gen 3 paddles coming out. And to be quite honest, it's just changed the game. And seeing this happen, it makes me happy that they're actually taking measures to sort of balance out the game. We do have at least a standardized threshold for where these paddles are going to land and what's going to be available and not available as far as the power thresholds go, which I think is really nice to see. But to be quite honest, just as Pickleball Central said, if the Ripple gets accepted or if that passes PB Core, if that somehow makes it underneath the new thresholds for power, then something's wrong, So, because that new Ripple rips hard. When that thing breaks in, to be quite honest, I think it hits harder than the Mod TA15, and it also has a larger sweet spot than the Mod TA15. We're talking about 5 to 10% more power, but we're talking about a much larger sweet spot. We're going to see those everywhere if that gets accepted and if that passes. So I'm a little scared about that one. The owner of Rhombus, Dong, he's a great guy. He has a extensive background. He's a PhD in carbon fiber specifically. We talk pretty frequently, and I think that he's going to. I'm sure he'll balance it out. I'm sure it will meet the new standards when they actually release. I'm glad that he hasn't rushed the release, and I'm glad that he's kind of paying attention to the current landscape and trying to make sure that everything becomes balanced at the end of the day. But yeah, I just want to touch on all that. I think we're in pretty good hands with Rhombus. They tend to make really good decisions as far as what they do with their paddles and how they kind of represent their company. So we'll just see how it all unfolds. But just wanted to start off with that because I think that the whole situation around all that stuff is pretty wild. But yeah. So the new PB Core Gearbox, the Pro Power, the Pro Power Ultimate Elongated 14 millimeter is released. I actually have a buddy of mine doing some break-in testing on that for me right now, but it's basically the exact same thing as the Pro Power Elongated, except for it has a much higher swing weight in the 128 range, which is very high. It feels very head heavy, which to me means that they must have taken out a little bit of the foam and added a little bit more carbon fiber in that rib structure in the core. So I think it's too head heavy for most people, far too head heavy for me. Not a huge fan of something being that head heavy. And it's about 15%, I would say, less power, maybe 10%, 15%. Gearbox is so dialed in on all their metrics. They're going to hit that PB core within a very, very small margin. So we're talking about maybe 10% less power max. So yeah, solid paddle, but I think it's way too high swing weight for most people and too high of a swing weight for me. I will be doing a detailed review of that paddle soon, but I do think overall that one's not going to be nearly as popular as the Pro Power Elongated was originally. All right, now that we have all that out of the way, let's talk about some new paddles. So we have the new 11six24 power paddles. So this one is the Vapor. This one I've gotten the most use on. This is my personal favorite out of the 3. But again, I think that they're all just incredible paddles. I think that these are going to be contenders for Paddle of the Year. Absolutely. In fact, I'm toying around with potentially maining this. Yeah, I'm so dialed in on the J2K, but I freaking love this paddle. It's super nice. Enough power to really rip some drives. And serves are super hot on this. Spin is crazy top tier. It just feels like it has a nice plushness off the face. It's not super rigid, but it also has top tier power. I also feel like I can control it really well. That plush nature off the face creates more of a linear aspect. On a lot of shots, I can really feel the ball kind of, there's a good bit of dwell time on the face, and it has that kind of rebound feeling, plush, dampened feel. It's not overly vibrational in the hand, and I'm big on this paddle. I believe I'll be doing a deep dive and a full review on this very soon, but I believe the twist weight on the Vapor was around 7.2, which is very high for a hybrid paddle. I think the swing weight came in around 116, which is also really solid given how much power it already has and how much stability it already has stock. Super solid paddle. And then we have the Pegasus, which is going to be their wide body version of their new Power Series. This one is just super solid as well. I mean, if you're looking for a wide body version, it has all the exact same characteristics of the Vapor, which is the hybrid, but it has even a little bit more dwell time, a touch more spin, and even a larger sweet spot. And the sweet spots on these paddles are ridiculously top tier. I mean, some of the best that I've ever measured, ever felt on any paddle. These are going to be very popular paddles. So if you're in the market for a new paddle, maybe stick around, wait for the full reviews to come out on these, because these are pretty crazy. And then we got the Hirashi X, which is going to be essentially their elongated version of these paddles. I really like this one as well. Super solid, has all the same exact characteristics of these. I think the twist weight on this one came in around 6.5. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was a little bit lower than the rest, which is to be expected with a thinner silhouette, being more elongated, but spin super solid. The feel off the face is really nice, and I like the gradient on it as well. I think gradients are kind of cool. I'm not the biggest fan of the light blue, this kind of like greenish tealish color, but I like it. I think it looks really nice with the overgrip. I went with a black overgrip on this one, and I think it actually looks pretty sweet. But aesthetics aside though, the play on those paddles is wicked. I felt very in control. It's one of those paddles where you just pick it up, you just start playing really well with it. At least I did, and I didn't want to put it down. I was actually really surprised at how much I enjoyed that paddle right off the bat. I didn't really know what to expect, and I loved it. So. And as always, you can use my code STS Pickleball to save 10% plus on literally any paddle in the space, from Pickleball Central all the way down to some of the smaller paddle companies. And I want to let you know too, these paddles are sent to me free of charge, which I'm extremely grateful for. But at the end of the day, I'm not obligated to do a review on any of these paddles, nor am I obligated to do a positive review on any of these paddles. I've done some negative reviews in the past, and I just want to make sure that you understand that my personal passion, the reason why I do this, is to help you navigate the world of pickleball paddles. There are tons and tons of paddles being released every single day, and my mission is to make it easy for you to choose your next paddle, to make sure that you use your money wisely. I just want to make sure that your money is spent well. For me, when I purchase something, I want to make sure that every single dollar I spend is spent efficiently, and I want to make sure that I can do that for you as well. Jumping into the new Honolulu paddles, we have the new J2 Ti in a gold colorway, which is pretty cool. This one's pretty nice. Super pretty, aesthetically speaking. I will say, every time I pick up a brand new Honolulu paddle, it seems like they've innovated their grit even further, which just kind of blows my mind. The grit level on this is just insane. I mean, this is just like sandpaper. The spin on this is insanity. So yeah, just every time I pick up a brand new Honolulu paddle, it seems like they've innovated some new characteristic about the paddle that just shows that they're very quality oriented as a brand as a whole. So I liked that one. Seems like a lot of these companies that are releasing newer titanium paddles are adding these kind of sparkles in there, or titanium polyester weave paddles, but there's a little bit of like some sparkle aspect in there, and I've seen this on a few newer titanium paddles where they're adding this kind of like thing that really reflects light, almost looks metallic in a way. I think it's kind of cool, but again, it's just an aesthetic thing. And then we have the new J2 Ti Plus. This is a prototype paddle that they sent me. Obviously, it hasn't been fully finished out and developed completely yet, but yeah, so they're changing out the core type. They're messing around with some things on the inside of this paddle, but I will say that generally speaking, it seems like the power is a little bit hotter. Not a huge difference, but the sweet spot seems larger, and yeah, it feels pretty nice off the face. So I like this one as well. Again, the grit on this is just insanity. I don't even know how this is legal, but Honolulu's is always pushing the boundaries on things. They haven't really pushed the boundaries on power yet, but they definitely, every aspect of these paddles are really dialed. And that's why we saw it, the J2K and the J2 Ti as the top paddle for, essentially every single paddle reviewer in the space, is because they really dial in on these very small details. And those are really what matter, those tiny details where it's like, they're optimizing grit levels or optimizing sweet spot or optimizing twist weight and really innovating in a way that allows these paddles to just do everything extremely well. And not really fall short in any one particular category, which makes them so easy to recommend to just anybody. Next up, we have the pizza. I can't remember what that's called. The pizza thing, the frying pan paddle. We got the J4K. So the new J4 shape is going to be this kind of square shape, as you can see. Not the most aesthetically pleasing thing. When I pulled this out of the box, when they sent this to me, I was like, ooh, I don't know about this. I took it out. Actually plays really, really well. Felt kind of like a dork using this paddle, but it plays pretty solid. I mean, if you're okay with a shorter handle, I'm moving more towards, wanting that kind of 5.5, 5.6, 5.75 inch kind of handle these days, because I'm really trying to work that two-handed backhand into my game, really trying to force myself to utilize that more and more, because I think it's extremely, extremely important. Not giving your opponent more topspin to work with your backspin. Sliced a lot of returns and used a lot of slice in my game, because I have that really, but like I can put a ton of slice on the ball, and it's fun because at lower levels, people will just kind of duff that into the net. But as you start working up into higher levels, 4.5, playing against players that are 4.5 plus, they're just going to utilize that backspin against you, turn it into topspin, make your life hard. So you have to be able to utilize topspin on most shots. So having a longer handle is very important these days. But at least for me, I have pretty large hands though. I'm 6'2", so yeah. But overall, I have to say sweet spot stability is crazy on this. I mean, this is a massive sweet spot. How could it not be? It's a literal like frying pan square shape, pizza. I can't think of the name of that, whatever the pizza thing is that, use in the oven. But I saw Isaac on Pickleball Studio podcast talking about that. It kind of made me laugh. But yeah, solid paddle though. Again, grit levels are crazy on these newer Honolulu paddles. So, and then we've got the J2XK, which is going to be their longer handled version of the J2K. So Kevlar weave on the face. And this is where it, you start to get into trade-offs with the dimensions that can be utilized when you're creating a paddle. When you make the handle longer, you can still only utilize a certain amount of dimensions, length and width, when you're making a paddle, right? So in this case, you get a longer handle, but you get less twist weight because there's less surface area of the paddle. You get, honestly, just a smaller sweet spot because, again, less surface area on the paddle face. I think that the taper here is maybe a little more aggressive than I would have gone with. I think I would have gone with a little bit of a wider taper and maybe even flared this a touch on the sides, potentially. I know that messes with the twist weight a little bit, but I think a flare could just help out the sweet spot maybe a tiny bit on this. But ultimately a solid paddle if you're looking for something that has a longer grip for those two-handed backhands. Would I take this over a J2K? I don't know. I'm gonna have to play with some lead tape setups on this and really kind of mess with it and see if I can dial it in. I think as of right now, I think I'm so honed in on the J2K that I think ultimately I'm okay with kind of just kind of wrapping a couple fingers, like one or two fingers over it, so that I can get my two-handed backhand rolling with that. But yeah, solid paddle nonetheless. Again, grit levels are crazy. Quality of construction is there, especially for the price. I think it's something that I'm gonna have to mess around with and tinker with lead tape setups to see if I can widen that sweet spot a little bit and just make it a little bit more optimized. So next up we have the fire paddles from Chorus. We have the SX here and we have the EX right here as well. But yeah, these are solid paddles. I don't think I've talked about these yet. I do want to do a detailed, dedicated review on these as well, because I think that they deserve it. As we've seen, I think it's interesting that they went with titanium for their power collection, because, titanium for me, given that it's a polyester weave, tends to be a little bit more soft off the face. It's not quite as hot off the face as something like carbon fiber or Kevlar or fiberglass, or like a fiberglass carbon fiber layup on the face, which creates a lot of pop, a lot of heat. I know this is utilizing fiberglass, but it's, there is titanium on the face, and I think that kind of dampens it. I don't know. It's an interesting paddle. I think it plays very, very well. There's not a ton of grit. I say it's a little softer on the face, but spin levels are definitely top tier. They're not crazy insane top tier, but they're definitely up there. I think it has good power. I don't think it has quite as much power as a lot of the other reviewers are saying it does. I think it's like bottom of the power category. It's almost leaning a touch all court power to me, kind of in that zone where it's kind of a hybrid between all court and power. So for me, it's not quite as powerful as a lot of people are making it out to be. But ultimately, I do think it has a place. I think it feels really nice off the face. I think that it has a really nice kind of dampened feel off the face. It doesn't feel overly vibrational. It's not rigid. It's not jarring. And I do really like these paddles. I think that they're pretty dang solid. I think on these ones, the SX was actually my personal favorite. I do like the kind of wide, muddy shape and that slight taper. And yeah, it's a solid paddle. I like it quite a bit. So be on the lookout for a full dedicated review on that. All right, so next up we have the new carbon drift glasses, which I actually really like. These are pretty awesome. I think they look really cool. They're a little bit less dorky looking on my personal face, because I can look like a dork very easily. That's why I wear my hat backwards, because I'm not afraid to look like a dork. I feel like I'm just kind of a dork in general. I'm kind of a freaking nerd. Shout out to Pickleball Pursuit. But yeah, so these are pretty awesome. The lenses that I have in these right now have a sort of a blue hue to them, which are supposed to be a contrasting color to the color of a pickleball. So it kind of highlights the pickleball in movement or just in general, which I do find works quite well actually in practice. They come with multiple different lenses. So this is kind of an amber hued lens, which are quite nice as well. And then they come with the lenses. These are a clear lens that are I can't remember the word, but photochromic, it's right there, that actually change colors in sunlight. So once it hits UV rays, they'll actually get darker and darken up and be that kind of just general kind of like blackish grayish tinted lens in sunlight, which is nice. I do like the blue hue, so I use the clear ones indoors, and then I use the blue hued ones outdoors. It does work actually quite well in contrasting the pickleball. So those have been my go-to for glasses. They are rated for safety as well, which is nice. So they are considered glasses that you can utilize that will protect your eyes from impact. I think they look really nice. So those have been my go-to glasses as of recent. And then let's talk about a couple bags. So 11six24 sent me this backpack as well, which is pretty nice, pretty basic, just kind of a normal backpack consistency, kind of a nice yellow hue on the inside. There's no dividers, nothing, super basic. But if you're just looking for a basic bag, sometimes they do some deals on this and some bundle deals with some of their paddles. So you can look into that. Kind of nice. Has a couple little fence holders right here, little fence hooks, and super basic bag. But if you're looking for something more basic, I think that can be a good fit. And next up, we have a bag that GRUVN actually recently sent to me. So this is a little bit more heavy duty. It's a little bit of a nicer bag for sure. A lot of utility pockets. A vented shoe pocket right here, and now we have it opened up, so you can see on the inside it has multiple dividers for pickleball paddles, and has some zippers in here and a lot of utilizable space and pockets for certain things. That bag is very well built from GRUVN. It also comes with this little extra bag, which is kind of cool. It comes with a little carabiner and another little fence hook, which I think is very smart. And this bag for me, I'll just throw a bunch of snacks into, honestly. It's kind of cool. Just little snacks that kind of keep me going when I'm having some longer play sessions. And then I can just hook it on the fence on the court that I'm playing on. And then I have just easy access to some snacks and some, fun little stuff to utilize while I'm playing. So yeah, so that's about it. Glad to be in 2025 with all of you, and glad to be sharing all of this information. I'm actually really curious what you guys think of the new setup. So we got this new little setup rolling now, which is kind of cool. I think it's fun, kind of techie and fun, and just super grateful to be in the space that I'm in and to be able to, just play with all these paddles and share all this information with all of you, and this wouldn't be possible without your support, and just want to say thank you. So as always, have a freaking wonderful day. Make sure to subscribe if you always want to be in the know on brand new paddle information. Be on the lookout for dedicated reviews on all these new paddles. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.